And as we bring all of this together, there's one more piece that ties everything in a very practical, very important way. And that's how much coffee you're actually drinking each day. Because even when you've made all the right improvements, less sugar, simpler ingredients, better timing, there's still one factor that can quietly influence your blood sugar and overall health, and that is quantity. Coffee, when enjoyed in moderation, can absolutely be part of a healthy lifestyle. But like many good things, more is not always better. In fact, too much coffee can begin to place stress on the body in ways that are easy to overlook, especially as we get older. You see, caffeine is a stimulant. It works by activating your nervous system, helping you feel more awake and alert. But when you consume too much of it, your body can shift into a state of overstimulation. And in that state, stress hormones, particularly cortisol, can remain elevated longer than they should. Now, as we touched on earlier, cortisol plays a role in blood sugar regulation. When levels stay high, it can lead to increased glucose release into the bloodstream. Over time, this can make it more difficult for your body to maintain stable blood sugar levels. For seniors, this becomes even more relevant. The body's ability to process caffeine tends to slow down with age. That means caffeine stays in your system longer, and its effects, both the good and the not so good, can be more pronounced. This is why moderation becomes such a powerful tool. For most people over 60, about 1 to 2 cups of coffee per day is a comfortable and supportive range. It gives you the benefits, mental clarity, a gentle boost in energy, and those helpful antioxidants without overwhelming your system. But what often happens is that coffee becomes a kind of companion throughout the day. A cup in the morning, another mid-morning, one after lunch, perhaps even another in the afternoon. And before you know it, the total amount begins to add up. Sometimes this happens out of habit, sometimes out of boredom, and sometimes simply because it's there. And while it might not seem like a problem in the moment, your body can start to give you subtle signals that it's a bit too much. You might notice feeling slightly restless or jittery. Your heart may beat a little faster than usual. You might find it harder to relax in the evening, even if your last cup was hours earlier. Sleep may become lighter, or you may wake up more frequently during the night. These are not things to ignore. They're gentle messages from your body asking for balance. Another important point to consider is hydration. Coffee, while enjoyable, is not the same as water. Drinking several cups a day without enough water alongside it can contribute to mild dehydration, which in turn can affect how your body regulates blood sugar and energy levels. So sometimes reducing coffee isn't just about cutting back, it's about replacing one of those cups with something that nourishes you differently. A glass of water, a light herbal tea, or even just taking a short walk instead of reaching for another cup can refresh your energy in a more balanced way. It's also helpful to be mindful of why you're reaching for coffee. Is it because you're truly tired, or is it simply part of a routine? If it's fatigue, your body might actually need rest, nourishment, or movement rather than more stimulation. And this is where awareness becomes your greatest strength. When you begin to notice your patterns without judgment, you naturally start to make better choices. You may find that you enjoy your coffee more when it's limited to 1 or 2 intentional moments in the day, rather than something that's constantly in your hand. It becomes more satisfying, more purposeful, and ultimately more beneficial. There's also a sense of control that comes with moderation. Instead of coffee controlling your energy levels, you're deciding how and when to use it as a supportive tool. And that shift, though simple, can have a lasting impact on your overall well-being, because true health is rarely about extremes. It's about balance, consistency, and listening to your body with care and respect. And when you find that balance, even in something as simple as your daily coffee, you begin to feel the difference in ways that truly matter. And now let's gently build on that idea by looking at what we actually put into our coffee beyond sugar, because sometimes it's not just the sweetness, but everything else that quietly turns a healthy habit into something much heavier than we realize. Coffee in its natural form is actually quite simple. It's low in calories, rich in antioxidants, and for many people, it can even support better metabolic health. But the moment we begin adding layers, thick creamers, flavored syrups, whipped toppings, it slowly transforms into something that resembles more of a dessert than a drink. And this is where many seniors, often without realizing it, begin to run into trouble with blood sugar control. You might order what sounds like a harmless latte or make your coffee at home with a generous pour of creamer, thinking it's still just coffee. But those additions can contain hidden sugars, unhealthy fats, and extra calories that place a greater burden on your body, especially when your metabolism isn't as flexible as it once was. Now, this doesn't mean you must force yourself to drink plain black coffee if you truly don't enjoy it. The goal is not to take away comfort, but to find a balance that supports your health while still feeling satisfying. Black coffee, when you can get used to it, is one of the best options. It allows you to benefit from the natural compounds in coffee without anything interfering. It's clean, simple, and gentle on your blood sugar. And many people who make the transition discover that they begin to notice subtle flavors they never appreciated before: slight nuttiness, a hint of chocolate, even a mild fruitiness depending on the beans. But if black coffee feels too strong or bitter at first, that's perfectly okay. There are ways to ease into it without loading your cup with unnecessary extras. A small amount of low-fat milk can go a long way. It softens the taste without adding excessive fat or sugar. The key is moderation, just enough to make your coffee enjoyable, not enough to turn it into something heavy. Unsweetened plant-based milks can also be helpful here. Almond milk, for example, is light and mild, and when you choose an unsweetened version, it won't spike your blood sugar. Oat milk has a naturally creamy texture, though it's best to be mindful of portions, as it can be slightly higher in carbohydrates. What you want to be cautious about are the flavored creamers and syrups that are often marketed as convenient or indulgent. Many of them contain added sugars, artificial ingredients, and oils that can contribute to inflammation and make blood sugar levels harder to manage. Even products labeled low-fat or sugar-free can sometimes be misleading. They may contain artificial sweeteners or additives that don't always work well with your body, particularly if consumed regularly. It's always worth taking a moment to check the label or simply choosing something more natural whenever possible. Another helpful shift is to become more mindful of portion size. It's easy to pour more creamer than intended, especially when it's part of a long-standing habit. But even reducing that amount slightly can make a noticeable difference over time. And there's also something important to say about awareness. When you start paying attention to what goes into your coffee, you begin to make more intentional choices, not just out of habit, but out of care for your body. That awareness often extends beyond coffee. It influences how you approach other meals, snacks, and daily habits. And that's where real, lasting change begins, not in drastic restrictions, but in gentle, consistent adjustments. Think of your coffee as something that should support your well-being, not complicate it. It should give you comfort, energy, and a sense of routine without quietly working against your health goals. And the beautiful thing is, once you simplify it, once you remove the excess, you often find that less truly is more. Your body responds better, your energy feels steadier, and your blood sugar becomes easier to manage without needing extreme measures. Because sometimes the most powerful changes are not the dramatic ones, but the quiet decisions you make every single day. Have you ever wondered if your daily cup of coffee could actually help protect you from diabetes? Well, if you're over 60, this simple habit might be more powerful than you think, but only if you're doing it the right way. Today, I'm going to show you how to enjoy your coffee while supporting healthy blood sugar levels and avoiding the common mistakes that could be working against you. Now, let's talk a little more deeply about something that might seem small, but has a surprisingly big impact over time, and that's the sugar you add to your coffee. For many people, especially those who have been enjoying coffee for decades, sugar is just part of the ritual. Maybe it's 1 teaspoon, maybe 2, maybe it's been the same way for years. It feels comforting, familiar, even enjoyable. But here's the gentle truth. What feels like a small daily habit can quietly influence your blood sugar levels in ways that really matter, especially after the age of 60. As we get older, our bodies naturally become a bit less efficient at managing glucose. That means when we add sugar to something like coffee, something we might drink every single day, we're giving our blood sugar a little push upward each time. And over weeks, months, and years, those small spikes can add up. Now, this doesn't mean you need to suddenly give up everything you enjoy. Not at all. The goal here isn't restriction, it's awareness and smarter choices. Think about it this way. If you're having 2 cups of coffee a day and each cup has 2 teaspoons of sugar, that's 4 teaspoons daily. Over a week, that adds up to nearly 30 teaspoons of sugar just from coffee alone. Most people don't even realize how quickly it accumulates. But the good news is, this is one of the easiest habits to adjust, and you don't have to do it all at once. A simple and very effective approach is to gradually reduce the amount of sugar you use. If you're currently adding 2 teaspoons, try cutting it down to 1.5 for a week or 2. Then go down to 1. Give your taste buds time to adapt, because they really do. What once tasted just right will slowly start to taste too sweet, and you'll begin to appreciate the natural flavor of coffee much more. And here's something encouraging. Coffee itself isn't the problem. In fact, when consumed properly, it contains beneficial compounds that can actually support your health. It's the added sugar that tends to turn it into something your body has to work harder to manage. Now, you might be wondering, if I reduce sugar, won't my coffee taste bland or bitter? That's a very fair concern, and it's where a few smart alternatives can make all the difference. One of my favorite simple additions is a pinch of cinnamon. It adds a gentle warmth and natural sweetness without affecting your blood sugar the way sugar does. Some people even find that it makes their coffee more enjoyable than before. Another option is a small splash of unsweetened almond milk or oat milk. It softens the flavor, adds a little creaminess, and helps ease the transition away from sugar. The key is to choose versions without added sugars, because those can sneak in just as easily. You could also experiment with high quality coffee beans or different brewing methods. Sometimes bitterness isn't about the lack of sugar, it's about the coffee itself. A smoother blend or a slightly lighter roast can naturally taste better, reducing the need for sweeteners altogether. And let's not forget the emotional side of habits. Coffee isn't just a drink, it's often a moment of peace, a morning ritual, a pause in the day. Changing how you take your coffee can feel like changing something personal, so it's important to approach this with patience, not pressure. Allow yourself time to adjust. Celebrate small improvements. Even reducing your sugar by half is a meaningful step toward better blood sugar control. Because at the end of the day, it's not about perfection, it's about consistency. Each cup of coffee is an opportunity to support your body instead of working against it. And when you make that choice day after day, it becomes something powerful. Small changes practiced consistently can lead to lasting health benefits. And as we continue building on these small but meaningful adjustments, there's another factor that often gets overlooked, yet it can make a real difference in how your body responds to coffee, especially when it comes to blood sugar. And that is timing. Many people start their day with coffee as the very first thing they consume. It's almost automatic. You wake up, head to the kitchen, and reach for that cup before anything else. It feels energizing, comforting, and familiar. But for seniors, this particular habit can sometimes work against the body more than it helps. When you drink coffee on an empty stomach, your body is in a naturally sensitive state. Blood sugar levels are typically lower after a night of fasting, and your system is just beginning to wake up. Introducing caffeine at this point can trigger a release of stress hormones like cortisol. Now, cortisol isn't a bad thing in itself. It helps you feel alert, but it can also signal your liver to release glucose into the bloodstream. So what happens is, even without eating anything, your blood sugar may rise more quickly than expected. And if this becomes a daily pattern, it can make blood sugar levels harder to regulate over time. Now, this doesn't mean you have to give up your morning coffee. Not at all. It simply means adjusting when you enjoy it so your body can handle it more smoothly. A much gentler approach is to have your coffee after you've eaten something nourishing. Even a light, balanced breakfast can make a noticeable difference in how your body responds. Think about starting your morning with a combination of protein, healthy fats, and a bit of fiber. This could be something as simple as a slice of whole grain toast with an egg, a small bowl of oatmeal with a few nuts, or yogurt with seeds. These foods help stabilize your blood sugar and create a more balanced foundation before caffeine enters your system. When you then have your coffee afterward, your body processes it differently. The presence of food slows down the absorption of caffeine, reduces the sharp rise in stress hormones, and helps prevent sudden spikes in blood glucose. You still get the alertness and enjoyment, but in a much steadier, more supportive way. Another thing to consider is spacing your coffee throughout the day. Instead of having multiple cups back to back, giving your body time in between allows your system to reset and maintain balance. For many seniors, 1 cup after breakfast and perhaps another later in the morning works quite well. It's also worth paying attention to how your body feels. Some people notice that drinking coffee too early makes them feel slightly shaky, lightheaded, or even a bit anxious. Others may experience a sudden drop in energy afterward. These are subtle signs that your body may be reacting to caffeine without the support of food. When you shift your timing, those sensations often improve. Energy feels more stable, your mood becomes more even, and you avoid that mid-morning crash that can sometimes follow an early cup on an empty stomach. There's also a deeper benefit here, one that goes beyond just coffee. When you begin your day with a nourishing meal instead of caffeine alone, you're setting a tone of care and balance for the rest of the day. It becomes easier to make better food choices, maintain steady energy, and support your overall well-being. And remember, this isn't about strict rules or rigid schedules. It's about understanding how your body works and making small adjustments that align with it. If you occasionally have coffee before breakfast, that's okay. What matters most is your consistent pattern over time. You deserve to enjoy your daily routines in a way that supports your health, not challenges it. And sometimes simply changing the order of what you do, eating first, then having coffee, can quietly transform how your body feels throughout the day. Because when you give your body the support it needs at the right time, everything else begins to fall into place. So yes, you can absolutely enjoy your daily coffee, but now you know how to make it work for your health, not against it. If you found this helpful, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with a friend or loved one who enjoys coffee just as much as you do. And remember, healthy living doesn't have to be complicated. It just starts with simple, smart choices, one cup at a time. I'll see you in the next video.